the fact that the reason why I'm thinking this is because we've done so many fashion-related things together that
so true.
When you think of fast fashion, I think about that even for information, fast information. It's the exact same.
Yes.
Around you, and it can pop up really quickly. Someone can think of something, regardless if it's right or wrong. But it's there, it's floating around, and someone's going to take it and believe it or interpret it however they think it's going to suit them. So.
We are so excited to have our friend.
Yes.
She has been a person in our lives now for like probably a decade.
Right? I mean, yeah, pretty much our entire like blogging career.
Yeah,
She has been there.
Yes.
She's seen us in our very bad fashion outfits. She's been there through our many hairstyle changes. She's seen us looking glam and looking like, yo, girls, nuh-uh. She's been there.
Mia Germanski, she is, of course, she is, so we know Mia through PR and through marketing, advertising. She was responsible for a lot of the content we were able to produce.
Oh yeah, she's dealt with some amazing brands, and I'm talking like huge names, and she's dealt with them, and she's just an amazing person. Like, she knows how to put on her work hat and get into that mode, and then she knows how to just take off that hat and just be a girlfriend.
Thanks so much for having me. I can't believe it's been 10 years from way back when I was just trying to play around with some fashion PR experimentation, because I said, why not? And so grateful that the two of you came into my life, because honestly, we've been through a lot together. It's been fun, like, different waves, and there've been a couple of waves these last 10 years or so, which it's shocking, but it's true.
I mean, only people that live in Toronto and know the Toronto fashion world know it's quite the community, and
that's for
you only understand it if you're in it. So thank you so much for being here. Our topic today is on something that you actually brought to me. For people that think that, DMing on Instagram doesn't work.
It does, as long as you're DMing the right things.
Right.
And Mia knows what to do.
Just good stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, just good stuff. And, based upon a conversation we had a week ago about parents and childhood trauma, it really inspired an idea that Mia had that we are now bringing to fruition, which is, parenting and the idea of, being okay with not knowing, the art of not knowing everything.
That's it.
And being okay with it. And I think this is so great, Mia, that, as a businesswoman, as a professional woman who's also a mom.
Mother of two, but she doesn't look like it. No. Just saying.
With that, it inspired us to have this conversation on camera and on the microphone to hopefully inspire women as we are getting to that point of the year where we honor our mothers, whether they be, biological or a guardian, adoptive, whatever, grandmom, whatever it is, someone that plays that female energy, force in your life.
Yes.
I think this conversation is very important, and we couldn't do this, Tully and I, on our own because we're not moms.
We're not moms.
But
we got a mom up in here.
Yes, but we got a mama here. So
and she's gonna educate y'all. So listen, get your pens, get your paper, listen to this constantly and take your notes, because she's gonna school you all on the unknown of parenting.
And I still don't know everything, but that's why it would be a nice idea to bring it up. No, jokes aside, something came to me when I heard your last session, and I thought, why not take this idea and, like you said, the master of DMs, and don't be afraid to ask a question to see if you're going to get an answer, right? And that's kind of been my philosophy. Not just, I want to say my whole adult life, but I kind of, even was like that before. And I said, why not, take a chance? And I love your platform so much. So that's why I thought it would be a great idea to see if you'll come on board. So I'm really grateful. And I hope that we're going to have a really great conversation today.
Mia, girl, becoming a first-time mom, Which, even when women think about, they're there with their cute little bellies and they're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be a mom. And there's nothing I can do at this point to stop it, whether or not here he or she comes. And when it does finally come out, it's this cute little bundle of joy. And although you're overwhelmed with emotions and you're so happy that this little bundle of joy is here, you're also thinking about, what am I doing? What were some of the challenges that you had to face becoming a first-time mom?
Well, now I can confidently, you can't always feel 100% confident, but I can say now I have a 7-year-old. So my daughter is 7 and my son is 4. So it's been a little while now. But it's true, when you become pregnant and even when you're in the process of planning and, feeling very grateful that I went through a pretty easy process to become pregnant and to have my kids. I think the first thing that comes is you're thinking about all the nice scenarios. And of course, thanks to social media, you see other people's experiences. And so the way that I took it was, it's a sense of inspiration. You're getting, very excited. You're just happy that you're going to be bringing this new life into the world. But when they do, it takes a little bit of a different turn. So, you can take all the crash courses, and I was one of them. I took a crash course at, the hospital where I gave birth. And, after you go through that 2-hour session and you think, yeah, I've got this, right? I know this. They gave you all these great recommendations. And then you come home with baby and you look at baby and you say, who is this? Can I do this? And bottom line, WTF. And that happened on a daily basis. And you're happy, you're scared, you wake up, and especially when you're home alone with them, at the beginning, you've got visitors, you have your family constantly checking in on you and coming to you. But at the end of the day, it's still your responsibility. So, the challenge I think was just having those experiences on a daily basis. And, you've got your doctor's appointments and you're just trying to do everything right by the book. Your number one goal is not to make any mistakes. And when you're not sure, and especially when you're up at night and you're even in between feeding and you can't go to sleep, so you pick up your phone, and what's the first thing that you do? You're going to go on Google because your baby is probably still, having a little bit of, lingering jaundice, or, you're having breastfeeding issues, which I had as well. So you go to Google and Google should have all the answers for you, when Google is really the number one place that you should not go to. And that's why many people say, do not go to Dr. Google, go to people who have experienced what you're experiencing. So those are the challenges. You have an expectation, which is very natural. But then your reality is very different, and it's positive and negative, and just those negative things are just really, scenarios of the unknown, right? That's really how I look at it.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love how you said, don't go to Dr. Google.
Yeah.
Stay away. Stay away from Dr. Google.
Yeah, and breaking
The
down.
funny thing is, sorry for jumping in, you still do it. It's funny, when in doubt, you still think that maybe after so your experience, you're going to be able to read through the lines of, okay, this thing's not going to do for me. I'm going to look at this. No, just stay away.
I know it is
hard.
very difficult. It's hard
It's
because
hard to not.
you want to know everything.
You do.
And the information is out there, right?
Yeah.
So it makes it very complicated to stay away.
Different.
So it's on the phone, and it's it's
so
just too
accessible.
easy. It's too easy.
It is.
Convenient, which is both a blessing and a curse at the same time.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So one thing that I think about, especially when it comes to really anything, but I'm thinking about motherhood specifically, because we've got, things that are themed for moms, like, mom blogs, mom Instagram accounts, mom's monthly subscriptions, different things. Were you ever bitten by the comparison bug at all when you had your first child?
When I had my first, the reason why probably I wasn't was because actually within my immediate group of friends, I was actually the first to have a baby.
Okay.
So not too many mommy groups. I even, while pregnant, I wasn't pregnant with someone else at the same time, so that, you can experience that together. So because of that, I feel that I didn't have that comparison bug because I had no one to compare it to. And I was also quite selfish. As a mom, I really spent a lot of time, at home. I was social, I went out, that was all fine. But when I was with my daughter, I really did a lot, with her by myself. And, I did maybe like a couple of, those sort of music classes or anything like that. But it still wasn't actually until maybe after 6-7 months. So in the beginning, really just, focusing in on her. But even though I didn't have, immediate friends at the time who had babies, I did have really close family and actually colleagues who really saved me. They, when it came to them, they had kids maybe a few years prior to me, and their advice really meant the world. And it really was nice to have, colleagues, when it comes to your 9 to 5, you see these people sometimes more than your family. And they really become this extended family for you, and they have different types of advice because they know you differently. And I think that's what was really nice. When I received advice from family, those are people who live and breathe right beside you, so they know you in a completely different way. So their advice is going to be different. And then that was the same thing with colleagues. And when I had my daughter, that was really what I experienced. And I personally and selfishly, I feel really happy that I didn't compare a lot, because that can really get to someone's head. And already when, hormones, you're vulnerable, you're really in a place that you're not, you don't know who you are as that person at that time. And you go through a lot of back and forth. You have days where you feel like yourself again, and then there are days where you feel like you've gone back 10 steps. But when I had my second, that was a little bit different. I had some immediate friends who started also having babies. So we were also, some of us were pregnant at the same time. And that was a really interesting experience, because I guess with my second, what happened was that I didn't go through that whole comparison phase at all. And instead, it was nice kind of, doing both. I gave advice, and I also heard through their experiences. And instead of comparing, I really, took that as, a form of inspiration, trying to look past that, because you have to accept right away that your experience is not going to be identical to someone else's, and vice versa. It's very hard to accept that, and it takes a lot out of a person, and it's not easy. On a daily basis, it's kind of like a job in itself, if I can be honest. But what that did was it made my second child experience very different. Listening to myself from the first time around, but then also being able to to see sources of inspiration around me through my family and friends. So yeah, I feel like I had a unique experience, but I hope it's not unique, and I hope that others have gone through that as well.
Bringing that up, this idea of everyone's experience is different. I think that's important, because we live in a world where it's filled with, again, knowledge. So that data that everyone's been collecting, and doctors say, well, 5 out of 10 people, blah, 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 blah. So it puts this pressure on parents to say, oh, if my child is not doing this by 3 months,
they feel away.
Yeah, it's all my fault.
Right.
And, then guilt starts coming in, and then you start feeling shameful because you're like, oh, maybe I'm not doing this parenting thing.
You spiral out of control.
Yeah, somebody else, and it's 10 times harder for me. What am I doing wrong? And this person, it's effortless for them. So, and it's very easy to jump into that, and to kind of put yourself, in this hole or in this tunnel. And you have to. I think it's really important for people to accept that there are multiple ways of doing something. My logic is not going to be the same as your logic, or it's not going to be next to me. But again, it's a very hard mindset to be in, because we have so much information around us. And the fact that, and the reason why I'm thinking this is because we've done so many fashion related things together, that when you think of fast fashion, I think about that even for information, fast information. It's the exact same. It's around you, and it could, it can pop up really quickly. Someone can think up of something, regardless if it's right or wrong, but it's there, it's floating around, and someone's going to take it and believe it or interpret it however they think it's going to suit them. So
yeah, exactly. You're so right. If it ranks number 1 on Google, regardless if
right.
it's true or not. Yeah, it's like, well, this must be true because it's the first thing. So
or someone paid for it to be true, so it ranks number one.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. And that's the sort of, and that's why it's really interesting to hear about this from your perspective. Being someone that's worked in public relations and marketing and advertising, you know why Google is the way it is. And a lot of people use Google, you know, here's the Bible or God, and then here's Google. Like, you know, people put it really up on that kind of all-knowing, you know, the eye, all-seeing eyes sort
that's
of
Google.
thing.
Definitely.
And we're all over here saying, that's not how Google works.
You take it with a grain of salt. You know,
yeah, because people pay a lot of money. People pay for the right SEO.
You know, if something is trending, then all of a sudden that's the only thing that is valid, and everything else that's not associated with that trend isn't worthy of being mentioned. But that's not true.
You know, there's a reason why it ranks that way, and if you're a parent,
just trending. You know, if something is trending, then all of a sudden that's the only thing that is valid, and everything else that's not associated with that trend isn't worthy of being mentioned. But that's not true.
Yeah, so there you go, everyone. Just a bit of business in there. Yeah, mission accomplished.